Welcome to Elizabeth's Chronicles. If you love true crime, consider subscribing. Jacob Foreman married Clara Soledad in 2005, after dating for only 11 months. She was originally from Mexico. The couple met while Jacob was on a religious trip. They fell in love, and he brought Clara back to Canada, where the couple married, and had two beautiful little girls together. Yesenia, 8 years old, and Karina, 7 years old. The couple lived in Kelowna, British Columbia. The children were members of the Girl Guides, which is Canada's equivalent to Girl Scouts. Jacob was a devout Christian, who volunteered at his local church, and held a leadership role there. He was employed as a supervisor with Ace Plumbing and Heating in Kelowna. Clara was a fitness instructor at Good Life Fitness in Kelowna. Friends and co-workers described Clara as someone who would seek you out, and make you feel welcome when you came into their gym. The family started noticing that Clara was not coming to family functionings as much as she did before. Eventually she stopped coming altogether, and most of the family never got to even meet the children due to his isolating the family. Jacob controlled every aspect of Clara, and the children's lives. He controlled who they could talk to on the phone, and typically he would not allow her to talk to any of her family members, especially if he felt that person was a bad influence, such as being divorced. The family homeschooled the children through Heritage Christian Online School, which isolated them even more. Jacob secretly was an alcoholic, who gradually became worse over time. He had a history of depression, and had attempted suicide in the past. On Wednesday, December 17 in 2017, Clara became upset with Jacob's constant drinking, and an argument ensued. He grabbed a small sledgehammer, and struck his wife in the head. She asked, "What are you doing?" He ignored her question, and struck her twice more in the head, killing her. His two daughters heard their mother's screams, and asked what was wrong with Mommy. Foreman told his daughters that Mommy was not feeling well. Foreman then dressed his two daughters in warm clothing, and took them out to help him shovel snow, as though nothing had happened. He then took the two girls to church service, and returned home. Once home, he took each daughter into a room, and pretended to be playing a game with them. He took Yesenia first. He had her stand on her head, and then quickly turn upright. He told her she would pass out, and it would be fun. He choked her from behind. He then did the same to her sister, Karina. Foreman went to work the next 2 days, as though everything was fine. When Clara's co-workers noticed she was not at work, one co-worker called Foreman, who told them she was sick. Another co-worker stopped by the following day to see if maybe they could help with the children, since Clara was sick, but was told that Clara had left him. The co-worker found this deeply suspicious, because Clara's car was in the driveway, so they contacted police right away. Police went to the Foreman home to do a welfare check, but was not allowed entry to the home. Authorities returned later with backup, and searched the home. At first they could not locate Clara, or the children. However, they did spot a piece of missing carpet, which was suspicious. So they asked to search the garage, which is where they found the bodies. When asked why he killed the girls too, he said that it would be better for them to go to heaven, than live in a world where their father killed their mother. At first, Foreman pled not guilty, later he changed his plea to guilty, for the second-degree murder of his wife, Clara, and first-degree charge for the murder of his daughters, Karina and Yesenia. Foreman's defense attorney, Raymond Diano, claimed that Foreman's drinking problems played a huge factor in the murders. Prior to sentencing, Clara's sister told the court, "We don't look at Jacob as only a perpetrator. We look at Jacob as a person going through this with us, with an enormous amount of pain that we can't even understand. Clara's co-workers wore shirts saying "This one's for Clara" to show support for their friend. Many others showed up to court to show support for Clara and the girls. A good life instructor who worked with Clara, Vince Cananan, said she possessed an infectious and positive personality. "What I remember the most in Clara is a passionate spirit, always dedicated, always looking out for her teammates," said Cananan. "One of the things I'll miss most about her is her presence, not just in my class, but everyone's classes. And her motivation, and just her ability to pick everyone up, through and through." Jacob Foreman received a mandatory life, with a chance for parole after 35 years. He received 10 years for the murder of his wife, Clara, and 25 years for the murder of his 2 daughters, to be served consecutively. Ralph Gregg was born on June 17 in 1917. He was 33 years old. He worked at a sawmill that made furniture. However, he was injured on the job around November in 1950. He could no longer work. He was receiving workers' compensation due to his injury. Ralph was married to Ruth Story, but the couple was separated. Ruth left the marriage and their 8 children behind when she could no longer handle Ralph's excessive physical abuse. He had beaten Ruth so badly that it broke some of her ribs. He had a pending conviction for this. Ruth moved in with her brother. This was not the first time Ruth had left her husband. He had beaten her before, but she returned due to the children. The large family lived in Collettsville, North Carolina. And the marriage had given the couple 8 children: Catherine, age 15, Christine, age 13, Timmy, age 10, Peggy Ann, age 9, Carolyn Jane, age 7, Paul Edward, age 5, Betty June, age 4, and Rebecca Louise, age 3. The children were scared of their father. One child, Peggy Ann, age 9, wrote a letter to her mother saying, "Mama, I wish you would come back and stay with us. I am treated like a dog. Peggy and me are fussed at all the time." But the letter was never completed or given to her mother. After Ruth left Ralph, he told authorities that she would never get the children from him, and he told Ruth he was going to kill their 8 children. She didn't believe he would do it. She thought he was just trying to get her to come back home. On May 2, 1951, Ralph Gregg would follow through on that threat. Ralph bludgeoned each child, then shot them. Going room by room, killing each child, one at a time, closing each room as he finished behind him. After killing the last of his children, he poured kerosene throughout the home, exited the home through the back door, and lit the home on fire. Ralph then used the same gun to commit suicide. A 5-gallon can, and a shotgun was found next to his body. None of the children were recognizable. They were only identified by height. Neighbors told police that they heard the children screaming repeatedly, but thought the children were just playing. The coroner noted they found no signs of a struggle. That these children were so frightened of their own father, they were frozen in fear as he murdered them. All 9 bodies were placed in 2 separate caskets and buried in a solitary grave. The family were all buried at Mountain View Baptist Church Cemetery in Lenoir, North Carolina. Ruth, the children's mother, was overtaken by grief and collapsed. Hundreds of persons attended the rites. The small cinder-black church auditorium was packed, and the churchyard filled. An amplifying system had been installed in order that the crowds in the churchyard could hear the services. Jacob Foreman had a history of depression and alcoholism. He used religion as a tool to keep his family isolated and away from family and friends who may see what was really happening. In a fit of anger, he killed his loving wife, then coldly snuffed out the lives of 2 beautiful little girls. He will spend the rest of his life locked in a cage like the animal he became. Ralph Gregg was abusive to both his wife and children. When his wife couldn't handle his abuse any longer and left the family home, he murdered all 8 children, then took his own life. It was his last abusive act. The only good outcome from this is he cannot abuse anyone again. That concludes this episode. Keep your eye out for the next episode, coming soon. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.